I didn't know how to leave. I didn't know how to say I was going to leave. I've seen lenders leave, and it's like overnight, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought that's what I needed to do. And so I did, but in doing that, it didn't go well with them.
Mm-hmm.
And so we actually didn't talk for a while.
Mm-hmm.
They were like family to me. I had no choice but to succeed. I had to provide. We couldn't just live off of one income.
What did you have to do to get yourself ready to work and to put in the hours and to structure your days as opposed to staying home? And
Hello, and welcome to Own the Room with Pam and Gayle. This is a place where we sit down with women who lead with heart, vision, and unstoppable energy, which really well describes you. This is also where leadership meets authenticity, where powerful women share their stories behind how they got to where they're at, how they found their voice, how they found their place, how they learned to own the room. Welcome today. We have Adrienne Williams with Alameda Mortgage with us today, and we're so excited about having you here today.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
for having me.
Of
I feel
course.
honored to be here.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you. We feel the same. So everybody who doesn't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself before you became Adrienne, the lender.
Okay, so that's been almost over 2 decades ago. So
Because we're going to talk
kind
all
of
about
young.
that. So
yeah, so before I was the lender, I actually went to the police academy.
Oh.
And I completed that. Didn't end up going that route, thankfully, now that I look back. And I also used to be on a morning show.
really,
And yes, I was in Bakersfield. It was kind of like, it was an R&B station, and it was me, a married man, and a single man. And at the time, I had just met my husband, but boyfriend at the time. So we were dating about a month. So yeah, that honestly was probably my favorite job ever, still to this day.
sounds like
Yeah.
fun.
Oh, it
sounds
was,
like fun.
because-
How long did you do that for?
Almost 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
so it was radio?
Yes. Uh-huh. It was kind of like a B95 here, so it was like that. And it was so much fun, just bouncing off each other, with the married guy and the single guy talking about what he did that weekend, what he wanted to do but didn't because he's married, and so just my take on all of that. So I did that. And then again, I had met my husband a month after moving to Bakersfield. I came home for Easter and met him. And so then after that, I ended up coming back home because it was 2 years of, not really long distance, but that's, not the same town. So I came back home and we ended up, getting more committed. We ended up getting married. And then I got into banking. And I can go more into that if you want.
Yeah.
That's kind of where.
So circuitous, that brought you into the lending field, or?
Well, I came back and they had somebody on the morning show here. So I didn't have a spot there. So then I just I was actually a teller at Wells Fargo. Okay. No, Washington Mutual.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then that's when a friend of mine came into the bank. Well, he's a friend now. I didn't know him at the time. He came into the bank. He was making a large deposit. And, I'm nosy. I want to know where that money is coming from. And so I said, what do you do? Like, these are like $20,000, $30,000 checks. And he said, I'm actually a lender and I'm opening an office here in Fresno. So I was like, oh, that's cool. He's like, I'm looking for a processor. And I had never knew anything about that. So I was like, oh, that's cool. And he's like, would you want to try it? And I was like, and it's different, because I was a W-2. I was a wage earner, making that money. And then I would be going to self-employment, 1099. So I was a little hesitant. And then, how do I explain that to my husband, who's also a wage earner and is very different, So, and he didn't have an office. So I would be working out of this man's house who's similar in age to me, but how would my husband feel with me being at this man's house all day? But it actually worked out great. I stayed working with him for about 16 years.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah.
For a long time.
Oh, yes. And I stayed as a loan officer assistant. Well, I was a processor, a loan officer assistant, office manager, pretty much did everything, you know, in the office. And then, so after that, COVID hit. So then that's when I was like, well, I'm at home. I might as well just study for my license. So I did that. I ended up passing. I was very comfortable, still didn't switch to sales at that time. So I started talking about how, you know, I'm doing the loans also now, and business started to pick up because everyone knew that I was in this business already.
And we had a lot of buyers coming into the area, so the
Yeah.
timing was perfect for you.
And refinances at that time.
Okay.
Yes.
What year was that?
That was, 21 was when I
Okay.
switched over.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of business coming in, starting to
Yeah.
build your business pretty quickly.
Yeah, I did pretty good, you know, it was like the first 6 months of the year. And so then that's when I said, oh, I'm just going to switch to sales. I was a little nervous going from, you know, again, a regular salary pay, and then going to commission only. But
How was that mindset different? That you're talking about sort of mindset issues kind of there. What did you have to do to get yourself ready to work and to put in the hours and to structure your days as opposed to staying home and
well, honestly, I just had to look at my kids because I had no choice but to succeed. I had to provide. We couldn't just live off of one income. So seeing them motivated me to, you know, what can I do to be better? How can I get more business? And so that's what I did for that. I was, like I said, I was very scared because of regular paycheck compared to waking up unemployed every day.
when did you get the idea to create a brand around yourself, and what was that strategy? Tell us about that. That must have been about that period of time.
Yes. So I switched over and I actually switched companies. And
Oh, that had to be tough after being with this guy for 15, 16 years.
it was very hard. Yeah.
Because change is so uncomfortable.
It was very hard.
In change and being uncomfortable is where we find our growth, which is a perfect example of what happened with you.
Yes. So, okay, there's so much to it, but short version is I didn't know how to leave. I didn't know how to say I was going to leave. I've seen lenders leave, and it's like overnight they're gone. And so I thought that's what I needed to do. And so I did, but in doing that, it didn't go well with them. And so we actually didn't talk for a while. They were like family to me. So it was very hard. So where am I going with that?
I was talking about your strategy, your branding. So
Oh,
you're
okay,
creating
yes.
a business now. Now you're going from
Yes.
being a W-2 employee, and now you're having to build a business of your own that actually started to pick up pretty quickly, so that you could put food on the table or help pay the bills.
Yes.
So what was it? What was your branding idea? How did you get to approve with Adrienne?
Okay, so there's some steps to that. So I had my first meetup with a realtor, and I had no clue what to expect. I thought I had to know all the guidelines. I thought I had to know everything. So he was a realtor from the Bay Area. I met up with him. We were talking about the property, and then he says, so what are you doing as far as social media goes? Do you have a social media page? And at the time I did, but it was just like me and my family, and the name was actually Brooke Tana. And my daughter's name is Brooklyn. My son's name is Santana.
Oh.
So that's what it was. And so when he asked me that, I actually felt a little embarrassed because I didn't have one for lending. So that night I created one, and you know, I sent it to him, told him I was just starting because I was trying to earn his business. I did so much that night. So then I started just looking at things online on, you know, as far as mortgages go. That's when I ran across Neil's page, messaged him. We had a Zoom call.
So Neil Home, the mortgage broker that's in Las Vegas.
Yes. So said he was in Reno at that time. Yeah. So set up a Zoom call. He was doing his content day, and I went to that, and then I started doing more content because I was already doing content, but it's horrible. Like if you scroll to the bottom of my Instagram, it's not. It's bad.
Take it from us. I remember, a guy by the name of Karna Murdane, who actually has a video launch business. And if you scroll to the bottom of his, you'd be shocked at how bad it was. And he's the first one to admit that if you look at how far he came, but what did he do? He just kept doing it,
Right.
and doing it and doing it over
Right.
and over. And how do you become a master? Do it 10,000 times.
Right.
And that's
what
why
I
we
did,
hire
yeah.
the master of video launch.
So that's actually what I did. And I remember my first video was about supplemental property taxes.
No.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't even think I cleaned the lens on the camera. Like it was just,
You're supposed to do that?
yeah. Yeah. So it was, I mean, I look back at it and it's like, I came a long way. So then I started doing that. Okay. So I went to Neil's content day and showed me a few things about the captions and just all kinds of different things. And I just kept doing it from there. And then as things changed, I just started changing those things too. Shortening my videos, things like that. Posting more about my family on my business page, which I was a little hesitant at first. But
people love that.
yeah, people love that. They love my husband. They love my husband. He's very nice looking. So that's probably why. But every time I post him, he tells me every time, you get more views every time I'm on there. But whatever. But yeah, so I started doing that. And then within like the circle with Neil, there's, people who do branding. So Candace, I shouldn't have looked over there, huh? So Candace, she's one of the girls that helped me with my branding. And I knew I wanted my hair.
Yeah.
Like that was no doubt because every time I go anywhere, someone knows that it's me because of my hair. So I told her I wanted my hair and then I kind of wanted a house or something that had to do with mortgages. And she said, no, let's just do your hair and just leave it at that.
That was a strong call because
Yeah.
it's what I think of when I think of you. I think about
Yeah.
that water bottle with all the hair
yes,
and everything.
yes.
Yeah. So
Well, and there's pros and cons to that because sometimes I like my hair straight and it's easier and,
Well, you want to
but
go incognito, though. That's
That's
a
true.
good plan. I
That's
like
true.
that.
yeah.
That's a good idea. So yeah, so that's how we came up with, I chose my hair. I had a picture. We kind of did, a silhouette and that's how we came up with that. And then the Approved with Adrienne, that's when I started the Instagram before. And I mean, my goal is to get everyone approved.
Right.
So that's how, the name was kind of long, but it is what it is. And my first name is long, so
Yeah.
but it's been working.
It's balanced. It works really well. Approved with Adrienne. Yeah. It does.
So, in developing all of this business, your social media presence, what was the hardest part?
The hardest part was being okay with how I looked. So I've had Bell's palsy 3 times.
Oh.
And so if your face, droops and it doesn't always come back to what it's supposed to be. And so many people will tell me that they don't see it, but I feel it and I see it. Like when I look back on my smile from when I was younger compared to now, it's different. It used to be bigger, but I'll take it. I'm grateful. But that caused a lot of hesitation. And when I record myself and I see it, sometimes I feel like I want to flip it because I feel like my face isn't symmetrical. I had a lot of insecurities, and sometimes I still do. I still do on stuff that I post, and but that I would say is the hardest part. And after a while, though, I just screw it.
Yeah.
I needed to get out there because I knew everybody in this business because I closed so many loans for the people that I worked for. But nobody really knew who I was. They didn't know my face. They didn't know me. And so I needed to get out there. And that's how I just did it. I said, who cares? It is what it is.
Well, people look at you today and all they see is the success story, but they don't know the stories that, as you're talking about, the Bell's palsy. And I know that as we talk to our agents all the time about getting into social media, the first thing that they say is, I hate the way that I look on camera. You have to get over that because nobody really cares. They care about who you are. They care about what you have to say, but they'll like, I would have never guessed. I mean, I've known people who have Bell's palsy. I fell and broke my jaw. And so when I watch myself on camera, I'm like, oh my gosh, I look so much different, and and all the issues that go along with that, because that just happened about a year ago. And but nobody notices.
Right.
We have to get over ourselves, don't we?
And I mean, we look at each other in person.
We know what and we know what each other.
It's
looks
not like,
Yeah.
when the camera's not rolling, we're just these, beautiful people. I mean, we are beautiful. But you know what
absolutely.
I mean? We look the same, compared to that.
And in fact, viewers like to see people that look more like them.
Yeah.
They really don't want to see these, super attractive, well dressed, perfect women.
people.
They don't, because that's not reality.
Right.
And I think it's one of the reasons why. Well, I think you were at our launch that we did for Own the Room, or I don't.
Yes.
Yes. I think one of the things that was so compelling about that is all the speakers stood up and talked about the struggle it was, and how we understood how nobody saw that. All they saw was the finished product. But I think that was why people found it so compelling, because we shared our struggles and you could all relate to what those struggles were in the everyday life. I had something interesting happen to me last week with regards to your business in lending. I was with this gal and her daughter, who now wants to become a homeowner, and the mother says, "Oh, Pam, talk to her about buying a house." And I went, "Great. Oh, you're thinking about buying a house?" I know she's like 23 or something.
Perfect age.
Yes, absolutely. And then she says, "But I just, I don't know where," you'll love this, "I don't know where I'm ever going to come up with 20% down." And so dispel those myths about what it takes to buy first-time home buyers.
Yeah. So 20% is, I actually had somebody say that today to me on a phone call this morning. I don't need 20%, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, no, you don't. So, I mean, you can go as low as 3%, conventional if you're a first time buyer, 3.5 FHA, not everyone has perfect credit. And that's another thing, is everyone thinks you need to be in 700s, 800s to get a home. You don't. Like I deal mainly with people who are in mid 6s, and sometimes I get even a lower FICO score, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that, because let's come up with a plan. Let's see what it's going to take. I mean, you may not be ready now, but you'll be ready in a couple months. So I actually really like that. So kind of hope I'm not jumping in on questions, but
no, go ahead.
The main reason why I got into this, and I don't know if you want me to wait to answer this, but is because I'm from Southeast Fresno, and we didn't talk about home ownership a lot. My parents owned a home, but they didn't say, "Oh, Mija, you should buy a house." That just wasn't in the conversations that we would have. So the main reason that I love doing it is because I want everybody in the areas that I'm from to know, like, it's possible. You could be a homeowner also. And I had a friend probably last year, she graduated maybe 2 years before me, and she's rented her whole life. And she just bought like maybe 2 years ago, something like that. And she said my content is what motivated her to get to where she is. And she's like, I always thought it was so much harder. And I said, no. And she, a lot of these people have been at jobs that are, 20 years. They have all this 401k, and some of them, they're afraid to touch the 401k. And I said, you're just moving money. You're just moving money. You're not taking it out. It's not going to go missing. You're moving money. So I think, like we mentioned, the 20% down, get that out of your head. Your credit has to be perfect. Get that out of your head. And
you have to be at the same job for 2 years.
No.
Yeah.
No, just give me 2-year work history.
Yes.
And if you don't, and I can go on all day on this, but.
Well, it's a good thing to talk about, because there is such a misconception. People feel like what we call the American dream of owning your own home is really unattainable for a lot of people. But that is because there is such a misconception out there.
Yes, yes. And one of my favorites is the college graduates, using their transcripts as employment history.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And I mean, just give me your offer letter for your job. That's it. And we can qualify you. I mean, of course, you need to have the income, all that other stuff.
Yeah.
But they worry about the 2-year work history with that. No, just
So
give
if
me
they're
your
just
transcripts.
so if they're just graduating from college,
Yeah.
they have an employment offer to work in their career. They just need to have that evidence of employment, an offer letter.
Yes.
Okay, so and then plus their college transcripts, and
Yes.
that will qualify for that 2-year work.
Now, I'm not going to say will qualify every single time. Could qualify.
Okay.
Yes. I always say I have to see everything before I say
Like a jigsaw
yes or
puzzle.
no.
Sure.
Yes. But, usually I just need your transcripts showing that you went to school, you got your degree. I want to see that also. And your offer letter.
So in your social media, then you're doing a lot of education. Is there strategy that you use specifically in your social media to help with your mortgage business?
I just try to make it where people can build confidence, because a lot of people are afraid of the unknown and they'll feel like it's not for them. So my main thing when I do my content is to show that it's doable and to educate, because, the more education you have, the more confident you are, the more likely you're going to make that call.
Can you share a story with us? Maybe that someone was watching your social media, gave you a call because they thought it might be possible because of your social media?
I've had several buyers that have called me. They said that their friends have sent them my page or a post, and then they've called and they said, "Oh, I see all your content and you feel like you're talking to me, you're talking about me." That's the same scenario. I had one that was so touching recently, and she went through a divorce and she was left with nothing. He kept the house on Venice Extension and she had nothing. And she had to start over. Her income was super low. She had her girls with her and she saw my content and she said that I helped her know that it's possible no matter her situation. And when her offer was accepted, she called me crying. She had just been broken down so much, from him.
Yeah.
But I was,
Those are defining moments in our life,
Yes.
isn't it? When somebody reaches out and shares that, they don't realize how important it is to share something that simple. Maybe it might feel to them, but it's so impactful to us.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what I made sure I did, though, was I shared that story on Instagram because I guarantee there's so many other women that are just like her.
Oh, absolutely.
That are just like her. And so them seeing that she did it motivates them to do it.
I can remember when I was married for 17 years, and my husband and I ended up divorcing. And I remember being so scared, being in a fetal position in my closet, so fearful about losing my old life and having to build a new life. And then once I was able to buy my own house on my own, the strength that I personally got from that ability was just a defining moment in my life. And that you get to do that, or we get to do that for women and our clients on the regular, is helping them build their futures, giving them confidence, helping them now create a new version, a new, hopefully better version of themselves.
It's a mindset.
Powerful.
Yeah, it changes the whole mindset. And actually, when I was going to school, I went for marriage and family therapy. I did not finish, but I got my bachelor's degree. And so when it comes to that stuff like relationships and divorce, and I just give it all to me.
Well, it's
I just
good.
want
You
it
need
all.
that. So you're going to be a marriage, family, and children counselor. And what we find out as real estate agents and lenders, you need that kind of background, because sometimes that's what you are. You become like a marriage counselor or family counselor or something like that. So that was great background for you to have.
Yes. And also, my husband was married before me. So I've seen what happens through divorce. I'm a child of divorce, but I didn't really experience much there. But I've seen that. I see child custody. I see child support. I've filed bankruptcy before. Like, I speak all of these challenges that we face, and that's why I always tell my buyers, don't ever feel like you can't share that, or don't ever feel embarrassed. It's life. It happens.
That's exactly
It
right.
certainly is. Yeah. The road is not always smooth.
No.
That's for sure. So
No.
I want to ask you a question. My question has to do with you as you're making decisions, or as you were making decisions to create your Instagram and your social media persona, you're developing this strategy. Did you ever feel like, who am I? Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
I'm afraid that my peers are going to laugh at me. I know for me, sometimes that little devil will be on my shoulder saying things like that, even just having this podcast of who do we think we are that we should have a podcast. But we get to meet people like you and share your information and share your experiences, and hopefully we're here to help people. So have you ever had that moment where you're not quite sure whether you should post something or not?
All the time.
Tell us
All
more.
the time.
Tell us more.
So when I first started creating content, I felt like that. Like, why should they listen to me? And why? Who am I? Like you mentioned, And as I started to post more, as my following got bigger, I noticed changes in my circle, which is now a dot, and it was very hurtful. I can admit I went through a little depression because I lost friends.
There's a feeling of loss.
Yeah.
Because you're doing something that's different.
Yeah.
And you're leveling up. That means leaving others behind.
See, and that's where I had a hard time with, because I get told, well, they're just jealous. But I don't feel like I'm any better than anyone. And I feel if my friends wanted to do this, I'd help them 100%, And so it was very hard when I lost people that were very close to me, that I thought were like sisters to me. But I couldn't throw the towel in. I had to keep going. And if they didn't want to be there by my side, then somebody else will be. And if not, then I'll just keep going, because I have no choice but to succeed. I will not allow myself to fail.
That's powerful.
yeah, that really is. And, and I really get that about, you had your posse, right? And when you started what was considered to be kind of what I hear from you, when you started to move out of that room, out of that posse, they started going, who does she think she is?
They had to make a decision whether or not they're going to stay where they are, where they're comfortable, or move with you. And it was such an uncomfortable decision for them that they decided to stay safe rather than to play big.
Yeah. And honestly, I have a hard time hearing that, because, like I said, I don't feel like I'm any better than anyone. And then sometimes, sometimes even like how you said, Gayle, you're killing it, you're crushing it. Sometimes I don't see that.
Yeah.
And I just know this is routine to me now. This is, what I got to wake up, I got to post, you work overtime. This is my overtime. You know what I mean?
I saw you do a post the other day where it's a picture with the images. You have, I think, a microphone in front of you, but I'm not quite sure. And you're talking into the camera, and it's a pretty tight shot. And you're talking about something. And I looked at that image, and I thought, wow, someday I hope to be as comfortable with that camera, because it was just like inches from your face.
Really? Oh, I wonder which one it was.
It was just inches from your face, and I thought, gosh, I hope someday that I'm as comfortable leaning in and talking about whatever is my normal, because that was what it was for you. And I thought, oh my gosh, I want to be just like Adrienne.
Oh, you will. You just have to not give a F. Yeah. That's all it is. Because, and again, I went from that depression to where it's like, okay, bye.
How did you work through that depression? How did you get to from where you were of making that decision about not moving forward or moving forward? How long did that take? Because it feels like it can take, for me, it has taken me many years to get to this place where I can now comfortably talk about things like this.
So I didn't stop. I never really stopped. I just felt uncomfortable posting all the time. But I would say, honestly, my husband helped me a lot. He's my soundboard. So I just...
That support.
Yes, he supports me 100%. Everything I do, flying to Vegas by myself, everything. He's just... You do it. If it makes you happy, you do it. Well, we're here. He'd be a good stay-at-home dad, by the way. But yeah, him supporting me, and you ladies know you make a lot of friends in this business. Some aren't friends, but the ones that are friends, you understand. You speak the same language. Working on weekends, taking calls sometimes. So I've made close friends within our business, and that's actually helped me a lot and replaced the negativity that I dealt with before. So it was just keep going.
Here's something else you would do that's really kind of cool. Last week, you had a speaker come in and talk about AI. So we're all in the midst of trying to figure this out. And as you are, we just talked about, you said you're not an AI expert. Well, I don't know who is, but...
My speaker is Lauren Lucas.
So tell us, are you using AI in your business, and or are you using AI in your social media, and what, and maybe even a little bit about last week's event?
Yeah. So last week, I brought Lauren Lucas in to speak to majority of realtors, but it was open to anyone who was starting a business. And she came in. She talked about ways to basically work smarter and, be productive instead of working 9 to 5 and not being productive. And so she went over that, with everyone who attended. And that was actually my first event that I have thrown.
And you hosted this event.
I hosted
and
this
I
event.
remember seeing something. You're saying, well, I didn't really have a place. I had to figure out, I had to put this together quickly.
Yes.
So you put it together.
Yes. So she had mentioned that she's going to be coming to California.
And who is Lauren Lucas?
Yeah.
So Lauren Lucas, she's a realtor with Keller Williams in Columbus, Ohio. She's actually part of the mastermind event, the Forward Mastermind that I'm in also. So that's how I met her. So she, and probably like a year ago or a year and a half ago, she would have never thought that she is where she is now. But basically how she explains it, she did hours and days and all of that on YouTube learning about AI, so we don't have to. And that's how she explains it. But she went into detail with that, and no, I did not have a venue. So she told me she was coming to California, and I said, oh, maybe you should come to Fresno first before you go to San Ramon. And she says, I can. So I was like, oh, okay. Well, a week goes by, and this was probably 2 months ago.
Okay.
2 months prior to her coming. So I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Well, the following week, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what am I going to do?
We know that feeling.
Boy,
Yes.
we sure do.
Yes, I'm like, oh, I don't.
What
and
the
so
heck?
she checked back in with me. She's like, hey, I just want to check in, make sure we're still good. And I actually told her, I said, I think we're going to have to postpone.
So you tried to worm out of it.
I did.
Because you didn't have it all together yet.
I wasn't ready mentally, physically. I just
didn't have
and I
it.
had that doubt, like, who am I? Like,
The doubt.
Yeah,
The
I can't-
imposter syndrome.
We know
yes.
that.
yeah. So, and then so I sent her the message, and I was like, you know what? Let's just postpone. And then within the 5 minutes, I sent her another message, and I said, no, we're not postponing. You're coming,
you.
and I'm gonna figure it out. That's it. Like,
Okay.
that's it. And she says, okay, well, let me know where to fly into and things like that. So she did. And then that was I still had a couple weeks, before. But then I started stressing out, like, I need to do content about it. I need to talk
Because
about
you're doing
it.
this all alone. You don't even have anybody else helping you.
Nobody else helping
So
me.
you got through it all. You got the content.
Yes.
You got the invitation out.
Yeah.
We saw that there were a lot of people there.
Yes.
We know several people that were there and
Yeah.
said the thing rocked.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
yes.
I was sorry that I missed it,
Yeah.
but I hope.
and
That's
I,
okay.
I was out of town, so
Yeah.
I know why I missed it.
Yeah, but it was so good. I mean, I booked the venue a week before.
Where
it
was
was
it
at
held?
Clovis Veterans Memorial.
Wow,
Oh, that's
some
always a
money.
good place.
You put
Yeah.
some money in it.
We did. I
So
do
you
have support
invested-
from my office.
Okay,
and
okay.
I love my office.
Okay,
Yeah, by the
so
way.
they
Yeah,
help-
you
they
you
help
have a
co-sponsor
great
it.
office,
Yes.
Alameda Mortgage.
Yes. So they helped me, and then I just planned it. I mean, I had a friend of mine's a chef, so I asked her to make some small breakfast. My husband's a DJ, and I do not do well with silence, so I made sure he was there to play some music in
Get
between.
some energy.
Yeah, and then people would offer, hey, what can I do to help? Because I am not a party planner. I do not do that. I don't want to.
So you found people to help you.
Yeah.
And now, after she came and spoke, have you implemented or are you using any of the AI or?
So I have I have all my notes because again I was the host, so I wasn't able to
Yeah,
just sit down
right.
Do
and
it.
focus
And
on
learn.
everything.
Yeah.
Yes, but I have gone back. I have used a few things that she mentioned as far as like even the AI assistant, creating slides, things like that. I mainly use AI right now, very minimal. Which Lauren, don't hate me, but
Don't be a hater, Lauren.
for
You're
my
just getting started.
yes,
with it.
for my
Like
content.
most of us.
Yes.
So how are you starting? So is there a certain platform you're using? Chat, Claude?
I use Claude.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Claude is the big deal these days.
Yes. So I was on chat and I switched to Claude. Yeah. And so how I use it when I'm not, trying to organize things through Claude, I will think of scenarios that happen with my buyers. And I will say, my buyer, for example, went through a divorce. I want to make a piece of content. Give me some options as to what I can do on this. Then some will come and then I'll say, okay, shorten them. Okay, make it a little spicier, shorter, things like that. And then that's where I go. I say, give me some carousel ideas. Give me calls to action. Give me, the hooks.
And if you're not even the beauty of that, what I really love about the AI is that even if you aren't haven't thought about, well, if I condense this, it gives you that idea. Let me condense
Yes.
it. Let me do a whole page of lead-in questions. So it prompts you to go forward. So AI is amazing.
It is.
AI
It
for
is.
dummies.
I mean, I even use it, to send hard text messages to my buyers sometimes.
Yeah,
or,
absolutely.
sometimes I need to be a little bit more professional in my email. So, I'll
Or
send
more
it.
sensitive.
Yes,
For some of
yes.
us, that's a little bit harder.
Yes.
And I will start off with, I want this email to come across as very compassionate
Yes.
or whatever. And as the more you use it, the more it gets to know you and it comes across in your voice, which is one of the things that we've found. It's been very helpful. And Gayle has done several presentations through Claude, and it's an amazing tool. But I think, and this is not a reservation that I have about AI. It is don't let it be your voice.
Right.
Have your own voice with it. Give it enough information that it is coming from you. It's just helping you with the verbiage and the content and everything.
How to say it, yes.
And then it brings up stuff. Oh, I didn't think about that. That is a great idea. And then to build it out from there.
Yeah.
I was just listening to a podcast this morning, the Massive Agent podcast, Dustin Brome. So thank you, Dustin. But it was essentially about how to get AI to sound like you, to have your normal voice and your patterns and the words that you use. So what he suggests is you take some kind of like podcast like this, put it in a Gemini, have Gemini transcribe the text, then put that in that text or the transcription back into your query. Now make future posts that I make sound more like me.
Right.
And here are examples. And so it's a couple of steps to do it, but it's
Yeah.
a way to bridge how do you get it to be more authentic to who you are?
So that reminds me of, so back on when I had my event, I did the voice memo for the whole event. And so I recorded everything that was being shared by Lauren, and then I spoke also. And so I recorded all of that, and I transcribed it, and then I put it into what's called Notebook LM.
That's right.
And then I created some slides from what was said, and then I sent that to the attendees
I want to get a
so
copy
they can
of that.
reference that. Yes, I can forward you that email. Yeah, and so it just kind of breaks down.
What is it called? Notebook
LM.
I haven't
So
heard of
you
that.
can make so many different things from there. You can make slides, you can make notes, flashcards, like so many different things. Yeah, so that
more
was
to
fun.
learn.
Yeah, more to
Yeah,
learn.
just
Oh,
add
boy.
it to the top.
Boy,
Yeah.
there is so much to learn. I was watching something on the news last night, and it showed this robot, or maybe it was this morning, this robot over in Asia running these big hogs. I mean, actual pig hogs, boars.
oink, oink.
Boars,
Yeah,
okay.
boars. And they had crashed through and were running through a part of the city. And the robot became so fascinated with it. It was supposed to be doing something, shopping for its owners or something like that, that it gets completely distracted and starts running after the boars. And then the boars run off into the woods. So it stops at the edge of the wood and it goes, bye to the boars.
Oh,
I
my
thought that was
goodness.
so cute. So,
So-
there is so much more to learn about AI and the technology that is coming
Yes.
to us. I also heard that Tesla, which they discontinued, I think we were talking about this last week, discontinued a couple of their models, and the newest model getting ready to come out is not going to have a steering wheel. So
Wow.
lots of technology coming. So if we're not comfortable with it, we better learn and get more comfortable with it, because
That's interesting.
It's the way the world is going for sure.
Yes. Yes.
And it's harder when you're older. It is harder, but it just because you are older doesn't mean that you can't adopt and adapt. Adopt and adapt to what's coming, what's here and what's coming.
Yeah, because if not, you will get left behind.
You will. Yeah.
And what do you say? You say something like, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
absolutely.
and that's true.
Yeah. Well, there's no such thing as standing still. You're either moving forward or going backwards.
Yeah, that's true.
So when you were in that event last week, just sort of taking it all in. So take yourself back there, and you're in that event, and Lauren's speaking, and you're looking around. Did you say to yourself, I did it?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. And it was weird.
What was that moment like?
You know what I felt? I felt accomplished because I felt like I can do this. But because I get in my head so often that I hold myself back. But seeing the room filled like that, it was like, what's next? You know, who else can I bring? And what other value can I bring to everyone? You know, and I welcome lenders. I welcome everyone. To me, it's collaboration over competition. Everybody
we feel
is
very strongly about that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes, we all got to win.
So all of that confidence is what helps you own the room, own your
Yes.
vision, own your voice. It's all part of that. So congratulations on that amazing event.
Thank you.
I look forward to being able to attend the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really got to think about when and what I'm going to do.
I totally get that. And when Gayle and I did the Own the Room, I mean, we sold out on that. And as we stood back and looked at it, her and I were like, we felt like going, high five.
Yes.
You know, oh my
And
gosh.
you should.
You know,
You should.
we pulled it off, and we had the same, lack of confidence
Yes.
and thoughts of canceling. And Gayle had some personal things, dramatic personal things going on in her life. And the fact that she didn't cancel was an inspiration to me, because I knew how much she had going on. And I thought, man, if she can make it through this, I guess I can too. Because it was right at the first of the year in January. And you know how January feels, but then we packed the room out.
It was such a good event. I was there.
Yeah.
And I remember posting in my story, like, this was such a good event. Like, just hearing everyone's stories.
Yeah.
A few of them I didn't know much about. And even Cletus, even hearing their story, it just shows that they're human.
Yeah.
And
that's what people are looking for.
Yes.
And they're looking to, we are looking to connect. We're all looking to connect. And the more authentic that you can be, and I think that this statement is not just to you, this statement is to all lenders and all real estate agents. The more authentic that we can be, the more our clients can relate to us. We think we have to have this perfect persona, and it off-puts people because they can't relate.
Right.
And they need to be able to relate to you.
And this is a little different, but even the way that I dress sometimes, I'll meet with the buyer in jeans. And, because I'm being what I'm comfortable.
Right.
I'm in what I'm comfortable, with. And if that's, how I'm going to be judged, you didn't dress up when I said, okay, well then maybe we shouldn't work together.
Yeah.
Yeah. We may not be the right fit because I'm just being me. And if you don't want me, then that's okay.
You're very authentic.
Yeah.
That's what makes you special. And that's what comes across in your video and in your social media. And so
Thank you.
we really appreciate you being here.
Did you or did you not feel like, I own this room at your event?
I felt like a bad bitch.
Yeah, you felt like
I
a bad
really did.
bitch? Oh, I love that.
I really did. Like, just hearing people come up to me during the breaks, like, this is so good. Thank you. And, and it wasn't perfect. Like,
Sure.
what I said in the beginning, in the opening, was not what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
It was, I didn't say like 10 things that I wanted to say that were kind of like strong points. But I was up there and I was talking. Neil had encouraged me. He says, you need to speak while you're there at the event. Because I was just going to introduce Lauren and take it away, Lauren.
Yeah.
Because I felt comfortable with that. But Neil said, no, this is your event. You need to show them. You need to do the opening and you need to do the closing. So I just,
Put on your big girl panties.
yes. And I did it. And nobody knew that I didn't say what I wanted to say.
No one
unless I
knew.
told them. But
Yeah.
But my husband was like, he knows me so well. He says, you were talking a little bit fast. So next time, no coffee. And so, okay, I won't do that next time. Yeah. Today he said
Neil
no
told you
coffee
that?
before the podcast.
Neil told you that?
No, my husband.
Oh, your husband.
Yeah, because he was
Oh.
there. So he said no coffee for the podcast because you were talking fast there. So, yeah.
Sometimes, that slowing down is a lot more effective. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But when you're so nervous, it's so hard.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes it very, very difficult. So, all right. Well, okay. So, gosh, it's been just great having you here today. And do you have any last thing that you would like to share with us?
No, just keep an eye out for more events.
Well,
More
we
events.
definitely will be keeping an eye out for your next event. Matter of fact, could you coordinate your calendar with ours so
Yes.
we can make sure that
Yes,
we
just
don't
add it to my phone.
we don't miss your next event.
Yes.
So
Well, thank you for joining us with Own the Room with Pam and Gayle. And if this conversation spoke to you, please share it with someone that needs to hear it. And subscribe to our podcast. And you can subscribe to the podcast at YouTube or anywhere that you get your podcasts. So thank you, Adrienne, for
You're very
sharing
welcome.
your afternoon with us. And we know that you own the room.
Thank you. Thank you both for having me.
you're welcome.